We ignore it. It was itchy. Hi! Hello. Uncle Neil Chan is here with us today. How's everybody doing? It's a very cool, normal Thursday. It was supposed to rain all day today, and it has rained kind of not at all. It's very surprising, actually. I don't really know what's up with that. But I digress. The rain will maybe come at some point. I hope you've been having a good week. I've been having a fine week. My week's been boring and chill. But you know what? Boring and chill is not a bad thing. Because boring and chill means it's not crazy. And that we can just laze around and chill. Today, we are going to be finishing the fan fiction that we've been working on for a few weeks. Because I want to finish it, and so we're gonna finish it. That's it. That's the whole reason. It's ready to be taken off life support, and so we're gonna bring her there. Now, hold on. I didn't pull up any good music. Let me do that real quick. We're gonna I say good music, we're gonna listen to the same soundtrack that we always listen to. But it's good music, and so that's what counts, you know? That's the tea. So, hello? Okay, here it is. That way when we switch over, it can be seamless. And we can listen to good music, and it will be very nice. So yes, today we're finishing the fanfiction that we have been writing for a while now, actually, because it is time. It is simply the time for it to be over, and so we're gonna make it be over. Last time we went through and planned out everything that we have left to do, so our, pathing is pretty clear, which is good. And there's not actually a whole lot left to do, and I don't think we have any more characters left except for Metaton, who we're gonna siphon in at the end, which is pretty good. That's pretty good. Because that means we've hit all of the boxes, you know? The last thing we had to do was the Zelda X Vault Dweller, but that's also what we hit last. So, we're kind of flying. It's not bad at all. So let's take a look at our boy, and I'll play some better music. There we go. This is our boy that we have been working on. He's 18 pages now, apparently, which a little big. We're at 7,200-ish words, 7,200-ish, which is not bad. This is what we have left to do, and the last point is really just a throwaway. We just need to siphon it in. So what we just finished was the Vault Dweller X Zelda ship moment that needed to happen. And next we need to have a fight. There's always a fight at the end of these, and I feel like it's kind of happening unintentionally at this point, but we do keep including fights as one of our big moments, which is maybe just something that we should think about and consider. But we need to have a big fight that ends up with Lynette dead. We need the mortals to try and return her to them, or bring her back to life, I guess. And that won't work, and so then they'll all go to therapy, and then we'll figure out Metaton is the narrator. And that's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen in the next 2-ish hours? Less? 2-ish hours. I feel like it's doable. It's just one big fight, the effects of that fight, the fallout of the effects, and the end of the story. Doable. It's not going to be an 8-hour stream. Not going to be an 8-hour stream, not going to be a 6-hour stream, not even going to be a 4-hour stream. It's going to be a very cool 2-hour or less stream. This could be 30 minutes, and that would be pretty good. But it's not going to take that long if we don't get started. So that's what we're going to do. Alright. Let's back read just a smidge. Fishsticks walked up to the travelers and out of nowhere surreptitiously jumped onto Shen's face, scratching his eyes and cheeks. In fact, it was so out of pocket, it had taken a few seconds before anyone knew what to do. It was only when Shin let out a shriek that KG had moved like lightning to peel the cat off his lover's face. The commotion set everyone in motion. Haha. I should edit that to be better. Commotion set everyone in motion. Sure, we'll use it for now. Causing them to jump to their feet, scrambling as they spun around and realized that the previously empty rest stop was now populated with beings. And they really were just beings, not human-like at all. There was something otherly about them, a presence that none of the mortals knew how to describe. Every single one of them seemed to take a breath in between. I don't like this sentence. I'm gonna fix it later. Every one of them seemed to take one breath in before moving. Haley was cornered by Vault Dwellers. That was the man she had Alex and killed. It was him. Why was he here? Why was he? Haley needed a distraction. Without thinking, she pulled out her phone and turned on the flashlight, waving it across his face as a means to distract him to get a bit more time. The way he moves through, the way he seems to crumble, tell her that she had just permanently blinded him, as though it wasn't enough to have just murdered him. Zelda, the name seems to populate into Haley's head on its own, rushes over, breaking free from those who appear to be her friends, to catch Dwalt Deller. Sure, before he hits the floor. And then it's like a little shit moment, and then we go back to the action. This needs to be punched up a bit. That was a little not interesting. And Amelia. No, we're chilling. Okay. I'm just punching up this beginning bit because it needs to be punched up. Okay. Haley was cornered by Vault Dweller, and that was the man she had Alex and killed. It was him. Why was he here? Why was he... Haley needed a distraction. Without thinking, she pulled out her phone and turned on the flashlight, waving it across his face as a means to distract him. And this does not need an exclamation point. Exclamation points are over party. The way he moves through, the way he seems to crumble, tells her that she had just permanently blinded him. Okay, and then it's this, and then we can actually get started. Alrighty. Begin to fight. Big and scary. Big and scary. And we should try and mention a lot of the characters. Not necessarily all of them. Okay. Shabiri, Pete, Vault Dweller, and then several more. Okay. This is our cast of characters that we need to try and include in this fight. We have included Zelda. We have included Vault Dweller. They've both been taken care of. We can have some, like, dispensable gremlins that are also milling about. Alrighty, let's get some fighting going, huh? Hey Kate, what's up? What's up? How you be? How you do? I hope you had a good week or are having a good week. I guess there's always Friday, but hope you're having a good day. We are finishing this bitch today. We're finishing it. My cat got a bit silly earlier this morning when I was getting ready, and she jumped in the air and caught and ate a fly. That's talent. That's talent, honestly. And you know what? She got a good yum snack out of it. Fish stick eating good. That's all I'm saying is fish stick came and ate. Synonyms for used up. Now having been expended is fine. She slayed and she ate. She did. She did both. She slayed and she ate. So there you go. We're an unlikely match, but no one. Two members of the afterlife had been the underworld. Made it their job to try and torture, classic torture, the mortals, whilst heaven's guardians made it their job to stop them. We watched the Outsiders movie adaptation. I was trying so hard not to burst out laughing because the whole time my friend was whispering to me about how fine the actors were. Look, if they're gonna be fine, at least they're fine. You know what I mean? Like, if they gotta be there, at least they're putting in the effort. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Is if you gotta look at a person for a whole movie's length, I hope they make you want to look at them. Terrible, but that's the truth. It's how it should work. Left them alone to merely, how shall we say, defend themselves. Dazed and embarrassed Haley. She just blinded a man, so, you know, dazed and embarrassed is probably a good choice of words there. Dazed and embarrassed Haley away from... You won Uno a grand total of 1 time today, and you can basically say I'm an Uno champion. You know what? I think you can. That is the definition of winning the battle and not the war, though. You won the battle. I don't know that you won the war, but you are, in that moment, a champion. So, I'm very happy for you. Today I took a walk. It was fine. I didn't take a very long walk, but I took a walk. Shabiri and Fia or Melina? Melina? Who are the two that hate each other? Melina hates Shabiri. Okay, Melina. Before stream, I watched a video about unusual deaths, so now I know about the lady that drowned in shit. That is a terrible way to go. Oh god, that actually sounds miserable as a way of being let go from this earth. Poor lady. She did not have a good end to her stay, we'll put it that way. I guess it's better than being murdered, probably, but still couldn't have been nice. So that sucks. We hit Shabiri. We hit Melina. She's also the mayor of the town that she lived in. Damn. That's crazy, actually. Alright. Help them recognize their differences. Attempted to hit Melina on multiple occasions with objects, which Melina swiftly avoided. There was also a guy who choked to death on a Bible. Well, he saw the face of God, that's for sure. If that was his goal, he probably succeeded. If that wasn't his goal, why are you eating a Bible? So, that's all I have to say. Okay. Sure. I don't love that sentence. I'm just gonna leave it. Pammy needs to go find Shiloh, who's gonna mention that he has a son. You know how I said I started reading Jekyll and Hyde last stream? Yes, I do recall. How is Jekyll and Hyde? One of the demons, I'm gonna make Shiloh slap Paiming. I think that that would be good. Where's Cersei Baxton? Cersei Baxton has gotten 3 mentions. Someone's getting their money worth. Wouldn't you like to know? There you go. Rosalina and Papyrus can be fighting Pete. I'm fine with that. No, I haven't seen the Cersei Baxton designs people have been making. I haven't done a good look through the server recently. What I'm thinking is for our last stream before I go away, it'll be on the 31st of this month. And we'll do a fan content Friday, and that'll be the end of the streams for a while. That's my thought. So not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, we'll do a fan content Friday. It'll take maybe an hour, and then we'll call it for a little while. And then I'll see the Cersei Baxton designs. But no, I try and like avoid looking at the server so that I can wait and only see when new things have arrived. And watch it on, or look at it on stream for the first time. Then you will disappear into the ether. Indeed I will. Indeed I will. Indeed I will. That's Rosalina and Papyrus. We just need Fia, and then we will have hit all the characters I mentioned were there, and then maybe we just throw in, like, Fia is fighting Paul. The Hatsune Miku Garfield figure. Why is there a Hatsune Miku Garfield figure? Why? I didn't ask for that. I don't think anybody asked for that, actually. I know I did not. Hatsune Miku is dressed up as Garfield holding a lasagna. I thought it was Garfield dressed up as Hatsune Miku, and that I didn't want. The other way around, though, fine. I was under the impression, though, that it would be Garfield dressed up, and I didn't want that in my life. But Miku dressed up as Garfield? Sure, not a problem, actually. It's a Garfield Miku, not a Miku Garfield. You dressed it up as a Hatsune... You stated it was a Hatsune Miku Garfield figure, so... You can see where I made the assumption. But yes, it is a Garfield Miku and not a Miku Garfield. But that's just not what you said originally. Give me a break! A few onlookers were spectating that... Because when I say it the other way, people keep assuming I mean it's a Garfield dressed up as Miku. I guess. I would just say that you're thinking about the Miku figure that's dressed up as Garfield is how I would recommend saying the sentence originally to avoid all confusion. Things only seem to escalate further. Arena. Give me some mortal characters. We are gonna throw in... We're gonna throw in Kazooie and Alex. Kazooie and Alex are our placeheres. Who wants to save them? We've kind of hit... Making a spider right now. You're making a spider. You're just creating one, crafting one. God? Is that you? Making a spider right now, he looks like a very nice gentleman. Are you drawing a spider? Or are you, like, putting together the biological aspects of a spider and he's a dapper man? I don't know that I understand. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, but I just don't think I comprehend. It needs to be Rosalina. Why would you not just translate, like, automatically make that persecutive? Itchy, itchy, itchy. Oh, okay. The detrimental nature of the demons. What's worse, he had to wait for Haley to come help because none of the angels, heaven guardians, thought he was worth helping. Having killed before. I did not say that he had been killed. I said he killed someone. So no, I'm correct. Okay. Lynette needs to die by the crossfire. Started to meld together. There you go. Oi! I feel like I just wrote a lot really fast. It wasn't even that much words, but it just felt like so much so quick. Let's see, we've written about a little over 500 words today. 550 words so far. That was pretty quick. I've got bad news for fanfiction Lynette. Look. They suggested it. She suggested it herself that she was like, I'm gonna die in this story. And I was like, yes, you're gonna die in this story. So, who's to blame here, really? Who's to blame here? The bad news isn't the dying part. What's the bad news? That she can't be with Haley anymore? I don't understand. This needs to be a new paragraph. Next new paragraph. Oh no, you gave her a bouquet. You're dating your girlfriend. Oh god. Whatever shall she do? Yeah, I did spell that wrong. Hey, Hollow! What's up, what's good, what's new? We're finishing this boy today, and honestly, we're already close. We are making great headway. We're kind of almost having Lynette death, and then they have to try and resurrect her, and it won't work. Battle of the Sapphics, generally. You're in a church by desire or by force? Or both? I don't know how religion works. Maybe you're just there for a function. I don't want to be here. Fair enough. I hope you can escape the church quickly and swiftly and without pain. Who's a good character to take a pulse? You know what? Atlas can do it. I feel like Atlas would be capable of taking someone's pulse. Is it the Church of the Cyan Goat? Well, clearly not, since Hollow just came to the church, Cyan Goat Church, voluntarily. Are you feeling the pain because I have to wear a dress because people don't respect I'm trans? Literally, that's awful. Oh god, I'm so sorry for you. Yeah, I think Atlas is going to be our pulse taker. At least Cyan Goat respects my gender. You know, that's what matters at the end of the day, is if Cyan Goat respects your gender or not. And I believe that Cyan Goat does respect all genders. So that's what matters. Really. Does Cyan Goat have a gender? Well, I always assume it was a guy, but no, not technically. He just gives dude bro vibes, you know? It's the beard. It's really the beard for me. He has like a little he has a goatee. Guys, he has a goatee. He has a goatee. Come on, you can't deny that one. He's above gender? Yeah, but also he has a goatee. Laugh at my joke. Related to Rudolph. Yeah, alright, I accept that. I can accept that. Related to Rudolph makes sense. No red nose, but the vibes are there, I guess. They could be second cousins. Not remotely the same species, but they could be second cousins or something. Alright, Lynette is dead. Woohoo! One less plot point. Mortals try and return her to them. It fails. Flash forward, they're in therapy. Metaton's been the narrator the whole time. We're done. We're out, we walk. That's the goal, chat. We're pretty close. You went to the bathroom and you are lost. I hope you have better directional sense than I do then. A big round nose like Rudolph. Touche. I see it. Who would, you know what, it's Siggy. We don't need this list anymore because we have picked what we're doing. Try and fail to bring back the dead. So, resurrection attempt, here we go. We also need a name for the fic. Does anybody have a desired name? Because right now, the best I have is like Reddit road trip. But that's not great. And you guys, or ChatGPT, could do better. For sure, could do better. Can I have a brief description? No, I don't have one. I don't remotely have one. They go on a road trip, and each of them had some reason that they went. I'm good at names of stories. Okay, they went on this road trip, and they all had different reasons why they were going. Shiloh had had sex with a god, and they had made a child. That was his reason. Haley and Alex are going because they murdered someone. Lynette is going because she wants to build her international harem. And Kazooie is going because I needed to make another character go. Then they show up to this hotel that they found on Reddit, and it was fine, except for the fact that when they stayed the second night, they got attacked by a bunch of Plants vs. Zombies, like enemies, and Chomper tried to chomp them because the hotel eats people who stay too long. Then they go to like a different vacation spot, and they get attacked by a bunch of pigeons in New York. That's where it was. They get attacked by a bunch of pigeons in New York, but the birds are actually dead people. They're like the spirits of like dead people. And so then their newfound friends, including Atlas, Shin, KG, etc., come and find them and support them and like help them. And then they go to a party where they all have like trauma dump, and we see that Haley and Alex did kill someone. And then we get to the part where we are now, which is where Fishstick jumped on someone's face, and Haley blinded someone with her phone flashlight, and Lynette's dead, and then they're going to try and resurrect her, but it fails. Throughout this whole time, we flip back and forth between the mortal realm and like the afterlife realm, where they give their opinions on what's going on, like is happening here. I hope that helps. I'm thinking. Okay. I have one that's pretty bad. All right, we'll throw it out, Get the bad ones out first. Yeah, I do. We'll say the Guardians of the Afterlife. Boop. Okay. They gotta find the ritual on r/caffeine, for sure, right? For sure. Roads of a Star-Crossed Fate. That's too nice. It's too good of a title. That's not trash. So it might be a quote-unquote trash title, but it's not trashy enough. Does this make sense? Like, the old titles that we had are literally Cyan Sacrifice, fine, and Brood Adventures Islet of the Roasted One Piece. Wait, I'm wrong. Okay. Okay. I put in Roads of Star-Crossed Fate. It's still too good. It needs to be trashier. It needs to be more garbage. It's not a good title if it's a good title, is the issue. That's an actual good title. Come on. We need garbage here. We expect nothing less from this stream than garbage. So maybe get on board and provide us some garbage, alright? I thought it was trash. I think it's nice. I think it's nice, but I think it's also not trashy enough. It just needs to be kind of more bad. I don't know. I'm not good at titles. I always do titles last, and I always procrastinate titles. It's really bad. Amelia excluded from not having opposable thumbs. I know, that's the issue, isn't it? How much can I gloss over them doing these? Because I don't really want to think of rituals. We'll just like say they tried this, this, and this, and it didn't work. Nothing made her not dead. Oops. Dead people be dead? Reddit road trip from hell. The characters are very random, yes. It should be an Am I the Asshole? I accidentally got involved with the afterlife during a road trip. Am I the asshole? It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Hi, Lexi. Welcome in. We're thinking of titles for our bum-ass fic. Right now, I don't know. I think I accidentally got involved with the afterlife during a road trip. Am I the asshole? It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. We can also have Metaton. Okay, this will sum it up. I made a throwaway comment in the beginning about how all the characters had initially met on a subreddit entitled, yours is too good. I made a throwaway comment in the beginning about how they all met on r/am I the asshole. So we could have a throwaway comment at the end that although Metaton is the narrator, he's not narrating a book, he's narrating this story from Am I the Asshole? Which is kind of funny. I like your title is the thing, Hollow, is I would use it on an actual one of my fics, which is how I know that it's too nice to be used on this garbage. What is Metaton doing during the fic? Nothing, because he's only going to come across at the end when we point out that he's been the narrator the whole time. Because I think it's funny. So he's there, but people don't know he's there. I know it's deceased. No longer around, but it is a funny throwaway for saying that they also tried with Panera Charged Lemonade because it also has caffeine. Couldn't remember the word for pentagon. Got to penta, couldn't get any further. Pentagon and candles. Complete with a pentagon and candles. I watched a bunch of people go on a traumatic road trip and did nothing. Am I the asshole? It's just not... I feel like it's too normal. I watched a bunch of people go on a traumatic road trip and did nothing. Am I the asshole? Is like am I the asshole that I feel like I could actually see being on the website. I accidentally got involved with the afterlife during a road trip. Am I the asshole? Is just classically funny. Oh, I don't know. Complete with a pentagon and candles. We'll just say complete with candles. Performing satanic ritual. You had a victory with the Wiki fandom. Would you like to tell us about your victory against the Wiki fandom? Despite taking days to try and save Lynette and her now decomposing. Unfortunately, despite taking days to try and save Lynette's life and her now decomposing body, she's stubborn. a moment where we punch up and see Lynette's in the afterlife. We won't specify where in the afterlife, but in the afterlife, for sure. Even tried purifying crystals with her tears. I'm free and back in the main room area. I don't know what to call it. Success. Congrats, Hollow. You got the temple thing to do what I goddamn wanted. Now all you have to do is write the articles. Yes. Very happy for you, Lexi. Very happy for you. What if Mettaton is narrating because he's doing in videos where he reads Am I the Asshole post where he can give his opinion? It sounds like something he would do. That's what I was figuring. That's what I was thinking would happen, yeah. That's kind of, that's in my brain, definitely. I don't think there'd be any, I think it would just be a podcast. Like he just runs his own podcast alone where he reads Am I the Asshole stories. Hello, why are you saying hi to Kate again? Wasn't Kate here earlier and you also said hi to Kate then? Like earlier, not right now. Kate was here earlier. Or I guess Kate said hi to you. I think I messed up. I have a question. Is it okay to put wax paper in a toaster oven? I wouldn't recommend it, but it's probably not as bad as parchment paper. Parchment paper will burn for sure. Hollow says no, don't do that, and I trust Hollow's opinion. Okay, failure. Flash forward, they're all in therapy. Oh, but we're not gonna have a flash forward, they're all in therapy. We're gonna have an edit to the post where they're all in therapy together. That's way better! Wait, if Mettaton is narrating this podcast... We don't actually need to see them all in group therapy. We need Mettaton to narrate that there was an edit to the Reddit post in which they are now in group therapy together. That's really good. That's a great way to end it, actually. Having to take screenshots for articles, I reread a lot of the comic. I keep rereading the part where the commoners riot against the nobles because it's part of gentrification. I'm obsessed for some reason. I'm glad you're having a good time, Lexi. I need everybody to support me on my hot take about the editing thing. I need everybody to go into chat and be like, yeah, that's a great idea. We think that's a good idea. Because I think it's fucking hilarious. Mettaton is a him, right? Mettaton Undertale, please. Thank you, Lexi. He. Perfect. Did I mention Tino, my brother's Did I mention that my brother's graduation is happening today at this church? No, you didn't tell us that, Hollow. Also, that's a crazy autocorrect. But no, you didn't say that. You've been going to a lot of graduations, haven't you? Well, there you go, Kate. Good luck to you. I need to put quotes. Guys, what do? I don't have parchment paper. That's what I need to put in the oven. You don't put it on anything. I don't know what you're cooking. I'm not ready for this because my brother is not the same little bean. He's going to be a high schooler. Oh, that's exciting. IRL angst. Look. If you think of it as angst, it can be a positive thing. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. Your mom is the school's photographer? That's cute. Hold on. I needed to pick at it. The problem has been solved. Couldn't spell that word worse if I tried. Oh no, Hollow, and you can't even eat because you're not home. You can make this a podfic and have it all be in Metaton's voice. Well, I don't have Metaton's voice, unfortunately, so that's not really a possibility. Yeah, but it's not a good thing to rip voice actors' voices off of characters. Like, it's not something I would recommend doing. I don't condone it, but if you decide to make, like, a derivative work of this work on AO3 and you decide to do that, I'm not gonna do anything, but it's not something I'm gonna condone, and it's not something I'm gonna do because I don't think it's right to use a voice actor's voice lines if they haven't given express permission for it. It was a sound effect. They don't speak with real voices? Okay, well then it's fine. You go for it. I'm not gonna do it because I don't like podfics. But, go for it. If it makes you happy. I've clearly not really played Undertale. After taking a few weeks to complete our travels, having buried Lynette. Canada. They can be in Canada, because I think that's funny. They don't believe our stories, they won't let us out is maybe a little insensitive, but I think it's mostly funny, and so I'm going to leave it. Like, that the people at the psychiatric hospital think that they're crazy and won't let them out of group therapy because they keep talking about, like, these people from the afterlife and, like, the wild things that they experienced at that hotel and the birds and stuff, and they won't let them out because they're like, you're psychotic. And they're like, no, we're not. He stopped answering my calls. Sorry, it shouldn't be this funny. It's not, them being in a psychiatric hospital isn't funny. I think what's funny is that I just spent this entire time making this quote-unquote true story, and then now we're like doubling back and saying, no, none of it was true, actually. None of it was true, and no one believes them. Is I think what makes it comical. I need therapy. I hope you can get some. These people probably do also need therapy, but not in the way that they're getting it. That's it. That's the end of the fic. As always, thanks for listening. My name is Metaton. I'll be here again tomorrow. It's just like, this is another fucking Tuesday. Chat, we did it. That was the entire fic. We named Metaton. We done it. We did it. I feel quite strongly. There we go. Clap, 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 clap. It's about 8,500 words, which I don't think is bad at all. Oh, I'm glad you're laughing, Hall. I'm glad somebody's laughing. I couldn't find a Metaton text-to-speech. I'm sure there has to be one. There has to be a Metaton text-to-speech somewhere. Surely. Surely. Alright, we gotta do one running edit. Don't leave, though, because I'm so bored. I'm gonna do one running edit, and then I'm gonna leave. They exist, but I'm not paying for them. Real. Alright, one running edit. The things that we need to edit. Kazooie is she, her. I know I didn't know that in the beginning. Continuity edit, which is why we're doing one singular running edit. That's all I have. Oh, continuity, but also continuity in tense. It should all be in past tense. Everything should be in past tense. So, pronoun watch, past tense edit, continuity edit. Let's hit it. Although mortals will, okay, well, this part doesn't need to be in past tense. Fair enough, Lexi. Although mortals will never know it until they cease to be mortals, the realms of heaven and hell have an outstanding influence on the lives of the many. Even more than just a passing interest or simple flap of a butterfly's wings, the gods and demons, seem to sit back and eat popcorn, watching the short-lived lives of the humans and the animals on Earth, toying with them and creating life-altering circumstances merely for the entertainment value. Of course, as always, heaven and hell do not tend to agree on many things. Now, sometimes these arguments are able to be resolved through words or fists, but, more likely than not, these arguments make their way down into the human world, resulting in a huge mess, and an even larger cover-up. Our story today is just that. Nay, it is perhaps... Oh, we could put all this in quotes. Make it so, like, Metaton is saying it. No. I'm a bitch if not nothing. Okay, I changed it to listeners. So this is also going to be Metaton talking, but I'm not going to say that. It's just going to be a secret. People will find out at the end. Our story today is just that. Nay, it is perhaps the greatest argument that has ever befallen heaven and hell, resulting in some of the worst experiences mortals were forced into. There's love, devastation, romance, and death. Be prepared, young listener, for your life will be forever changed after hearing this tale, just as the lives of those who survived it were after the dust had settled. I'll make a podcast or podfic with just the beeps. That's chaos content. If asked today, no one would really be able to say how this particular disagreement had begun. Maybe someone from the underworld had tried to pass through heaven's guards again, or maybe someone, or perhaps someone from heaven had made a strong suggestion to one of the underlings below. No one really could say anything except for the fact that there was animosity between their two groups. On one particular day, Shabiri, a shepherd of the Heaven's Will, and Melina, one of the Devil's playthings, were going at it, mostly verbally, when suddenly Pete came up behind them and socked Shabiri square in the head. Of course, it's not as though Melina was ungrateful for the help, but with the way things currently were in the afterlife, the situation quickly escalated. Before long, a massive fight between multiple entities began. Gods were fighting demons, underlings were fighting shepherds. It really was a huge mess, until someone slipped on a cloud and from their shoulder dropped a cat by the name of Fishstick. I need water. The cat, aided by the cat's natural ability and instinct to land on its feet, managed to survive the fall from the heavens to the mortal realm. What no one knew at the time was that this cat would soon become the catalyst for such a terrible tale. Born of the god of the underworld, this cat had no regard for human nature and, much like its previous owner, only cared about humans when they could use them to create chaos. That day, or rather sometime that century, the gods and the demons returned to their respective place of residence, battered and bruised and none the wiser about the catalyst they had just thrown into the mortal realm. So the sun was just peeking over the mountain as Haley, Alex, Lynette, and her cat, Amelia, Kazooie, and Shiloh that's a lot of people, piled themselves and a single backpack each into an oversized van. These friends, having met online, in a Reddit, in a subreddit, r/am I the asshole to be exact, had made the difficult and in some cases typical decision to meet up and go on a road trip together around the world. Although they knew each other from Reddit, they had never actually spoken outside of Reddit DMs, so when Lynette pulled up with pink hair, everyone was a little surprised because they expected her to have blue hair like her profile picture. The cat joining the crew on the trip was somehow less surprising to them than this. So, how did you guys decide you wanted to do this? I, for one, am doing it for the Vine, casually asked. Vine had been dead for 7 years. Lynette stated that she wanted to meet a girl, and so far had no luck. Granted, I use Discord as a dating app, she added, but either way I need to turn my harem international. Shiloh stated he wants to help others and learn more about himself along the way. No one really believed him. Haley and Alex shared a glance and looked away. Neither of them give a reason for their coming on the journey. And with a slightly bumpy and altogether uncomfortable start, the gang got... Yeah, she needed to turn her harem international. The gang got on their way, jumping into the van and making their way down the highway. None of them are particularly good planners. It's a miracle they all managed to show up in the same location at the same time with a car that was big enough for all of them, so there really is no real route or destination for their journey. Regardless, after stopping 15 minutes in at a gas station to pick up, as Haley put it, snackies, they were well on their way onto something for sure. They were well and truly on their way somewhere for sure. What would an international harem even look like? Just use your imagination. Heaven and hell were not the type to take particular notice of the well-being or daily lives of mortals. Their lives were almost too inconceivably short to be noticed unless placed under the microscope to be played with like a science experiment gone wrong. Really, there are only 2 ways to... Oh my god, we're only 2 pages in. It's fine. We got this. To get noticed by the afterlife. There were only 2 ways to get noticed by the afterlife. The first was to be so inconceivably stupid and outlandish that your choices catch the eye of the demons who you know will be joining who know you will be joining them in a matter of years. The other is to be so incredibly attractive that a god jumps from the heavens to spend a single night with you. The latter is what happened to Shiloh not but 2 months ago. There he was, living his normal life, when somehow Pei Ming, one of the heavens' strongest martial gods, laid eyes on him, and despite being chronically straight, fell in love felt as though he had no choice but to consensually spend a night with Shiloh. And could Pei Ming spend hours regaling that night with Shiloh? In fact, Function had already heard enough of the experience straight from the horse's mouth. And as much as Function was terrified of women and hated hearing of Pei Ming's straight couplings, hearing of Pei Ming's first homosexual encounter was so much worse. Pei Ming couldn't help but remember how it was no easy feat romancing the young man and getting to know him to spend the night with him. It must have taken years, but it was so worth it. The touches, the passion, the way Shiloh clung to him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, post-coital couplings and second nights were not something Pei Ming was interested in. Unfortunately, as sometimes occurs, a baby named Cersei Baxton was conceived out of thin air. Pei Ming, being a good guy and all, paid his weight and then some in childcare funds and left Shiloh and Cersei Baxton that night, resuming his position in the heavens. Although their time together was amazing for Pei Ming, all he could do is be a respectful absent parent and move on to his next hyperfixation, watching over and checking up on Shiloh and Cersei every however often. It is on one of those occasions when Pei Ming noticed Cersei had been left alone with someone named Arthur, who he had noticed was being fatherly towards Shiloh during his time pursuing him. Shiloh had therefore been harder to locate, what without his current involvement with Pei Ming's offspring. Luckily, with the help of a very eager papyrus, they were able to locate Shiloh and what looked to be a group of mismatched individuals and a cat stuffed into a van, traveling to who knows where. Just at a glance, Papyrus and Pei Ming and a begrudging function were able to recognize the members of the party members of the party existed with hugely different levels of karma. Normally, people with such different backgrounds would not be able to meet in their normal lives, for when they do, terrifying and unusual things are said to occur. It is for that reason that this small trio, along with the rest of the heavens and eventually the underworld, began following the journey of the ragtag group in their van. The road trip crew had been on their journey for about a week when Lynette confessed that if her cat Amelia did not take a shower soon, then she would have to start to have skincare. That's a really good, underrated line. That if her cat Amelia did not take a shower soon, she would start to have skincare problems. Upon hearing this, Shiloh and the others agreed with the sentiment and used Reddit to locate a nearby hotel. This search had led the group to the r/caffeine Reddit, which was a mildly terrifying place all things considered, but did have a great thread on the best hotel nearby to wherever they had driven to. Named Hotel California but not, the Redditors claimed it was a great place to spend for only one night, but was more or less the group's plan anyways. The post also had a comment regarding a worm and some milk, but being the r/caffeine subreddit, they decided to ignore it. Pulling up to Hotel California but not, Lynette took care to hide Lynette in the cat's crate under a blanket since the hotel expressly prohibited animals. Once they got inside, they walked right up to the front desk, behind which stood a man, nondescript in face, but clearly armed with several dozens of knives. "What?" the scary knife man asked. "We'd like a room?" Haley asked, the presumption and demand for obligatory service dripping from her voice. "A single room? There's like 8 of you." There were 5 of them. Haley rolled her eyes, which caused the desk worker to sigh. "What name is the reservation for, then?" Haley pressed. "Don't you know who I am? I do not need a reservation. I am," Kazooie interjected. "It's under White." The scary Nov guy tucked his fangs back behind his lip, cleared his throat, and typed on the computer for a while. After some time, he turned back to the road trippers and smiled. Thank you, Lexi. Smiled, showing the fangs again. Although it was clearly meant to be a smile, the knife-like teeth made the expression seem more like a grimace. We do have a reservation under that name, right up on the top floor in our penthouse suite." Haley beamed with pride and accepted the physical set of keys that would unlock their room. As they made their way to the elevator, they passed by a single worm writhing on the floor, nearby to the front desk manager. Alex jumped away, and the whole group noticed it, but just made the decision that such things should be ignored after all. As soon as they got in the elevator, Shiloh turned to Kazooie. "When did you make a reservation?" "Oh, no, I didn't. I just assumed that someone with the last name White probably had a reservation." "So we didn't pay for this?" Kazooie just shook her head. What you're handed can't hurt you, right? It's not theft after all." Paul sat at his desk. The hellfire raged around him. Screams echoed through the office, and Paul can hear musical Paul could. "My name is Philip. I'm a poet. I wrote this poem just to show it." "You sure did." Paul could hear musical numbers being performed in front of him, and every time he tries to get a break from staring at his computer, he is confronted. Every time he tried, past tense, to get a break, he was confronted by a group of actors dancing to musical numbers in front of him. It's tomfoolery. It's always tomfoolery. Occasionally, the actors will come to his desk and make comments about his work and then leave half-drank water bottles on his desk. The comments always cut right to the core of his insecurity. Yes, without a doubt, Paul had died and gone to hell. Now, instead of spending his time doing office work and avoiding musicals, he did office work and dealt with theater kids. Lafayette dealt with theater kids. It is on one of those days, perhaps somewhere around the 2 millionth time they've sung this particular song just slightly off key, Paul was typing away, doing his desk work for the demons, when he noticed something unusual. Demi-godmother encounter with r/caffeine hotel. Fucking karma. Just karma. Yeah, Paul's day had just gotten worse. Somehow. By the time his superior decided to come around and check on the error, the next highest level of demon had already been notified. Now, these demons were not particularly concerned with the clerical error, but the Hotel de California but not had a peculiar reputation in hell. Alongside being one of the worst hotels known to mortal kind, it is also the nearest place in the world to where hell and the mortal realm were able to touch. This means it is the testing was the testing place for most of it, girl. This means it was the testing place for most of the new torture options used by demons, and so of course any human who managed to find the place had only one option to doing so: listening to the hotel advice on the people of r/caffeine of all places. This meant not only were these mortals in for an interesting night, but they had also opened themselves up to an interesting life, being toyed around by the demons who had already who already knew they were gullible as shit. We're making our way through. That's like a fifth of the way through. Or, sorry, like a fourth of the way through. We're making it through. We're going. And then we're just gonna upload this shit and it's over. The hotel itself had one queen-size bed and a small bathroom. All things considered, it was pretty standard, nothing especially out of the ordinary. Being the penthouse suite, the room did leave something to be desired, but the group wasn't paying for it anyway, so it didn't matter much. Haley was a little miffed and immediately laid claim to the bed right after Amelia was let out of her carrier. Amelia jumped on the bed after her and snuggled right up. Lynette was looking a little jealous. The others in the room weren't quite sure. Nope, spelled that wrong. Weren't quite sure who Lynette was jealous of, so they just made the decision to ignore it for now. And if Haley let her wandering eyes glance over Lynette's pink hair in return, Alex certainly acted like he didn't see it. And so the sleeping arrangements were silently decided. Haley, Lynette, and Amelia would take the bed. Shiloh slept. Shiloh the couch, and Alex and Kazooie each take a separate spot on the floor. All things considered, everyone got enough room to spread out and sleep comfortably. The next morning, the group made. Have you ever watched Pink Panther 2006? No, I have not. The group made the unanimous decision to begin shower rotations. Amelia got to go first. About halfway through the day, the house cleaner came in. It was an ugly thing that could not only be really described as the creature. Although it claimed to be the housekeeper, it did not walk in with anything to clean besides a single rag. Instead, it just produced a lot of milk and sprayed it around the room, only to wipe it with the rag. When the creature was leaving, it appeared to smile to the patrons still in the hotel room. As the door was shutting behind it, the group could have sworn they saw the same worm from earlier waiting in the hallway. Regardless, the group shrugged it off. Maybe it's the manager, they couldn't tell you. After the showering was all complete, the group made the unanimous decision that, regardless of what Reddit had told them, they should stay for another night. The feeling of sleeping with the rocking of the car was the feeling of sleeping without the rocking of the car was just too good to pass up. And so they did. Didn't spell the word shrugged right. And so they did, with the same sleeping arrangement as the night before, though Lynette cuddled up a bit more to Haley than the group had previously noticed. The group pulled through another night in the hotel. Or at least they would have. Instead, the group was rudely awakened by a chomping or chewing sound that almost seemed to be coming from the walls. Shiloh was the first one awake and on edge. He could hear his heartbeat radiate through his entire body. He was starting to get the sense that Reddit may have actually been right on this one. This extra night. When are you going on the Japan trip again? Starting in June, early June. Soon. We're gonna have one more stream. Next Friday. We're gonna do a fan content Friday. And then that'll be the last stream for a while. That's the plan. The noise reverberated down his spine, and Shiloh could tell it affected his travel mates as well, demonstrated by the way they all jumped up in alarm. When they listened a bit closer, they realized it's not just the chomping that they can hear. Is someone pitching a baseball? Alex asked in innocent earnest. And to be fair, the noise that seemed to be happening in the hallway did appear to be a thing of a baseball being thrown. In reality, it was the utmost perseverance, the highest determination pea shooter, but the group would discover that in just a moment. In the meantime, the group finally decided that the chewing and chomping coming from the walls was too intense. Finally, time to take Reddit's advice. Kazooie opened the door, wielding the hairdryer from the hotel room like a broadsword. 9. Opening the door revealed 4 new creatures. 3 were in the open in front of them, and 1 obscured in the back. Although none of them introduced themselves, the group seemed to intrinsically understand their names and qualities, as though the knowledge was gifted to them by the divine. The first one they approach is Walnut. It stands guard for its fellow plants. It stood guard for its willow. Oh, fuck. They approached was Walnut. It stood good for its fellow plants. Unfortunately, it was round and was very easily pushed off out of the way, leaving the others defenseless. Alex seemed a little bit too impressed with himself for having kicked out the walnut. He grinned. Thank you. He grinned at the group with his hands on his hips, causing Haley to glare at him just a little bit. The next on the path out of the hotel was the Gumnut. Unlike the useless Walnut, Gumnut sat proudly, sat proudly, and shot disgusting gum at this group. When a little gets on Haley's shoes, she squealed. When a little bit got on Haley's shoes, she squealed. And Lynette and Amelia had to stay back and comfort her. The gum itself makes the ground difficult to walk through. Even Kazooie, usually known for being light on her feet, had trouble making it through the sludge. Wouldn't Mettaton be reading from the perspective of the person who wrote the Am I the Asshole post? Yeah, don't question it. I'm not rewriting this whole thing to fit something that we thought of at the end. To be fair, we don't know who the perspective is. So the perspective could be from someone already in the afterlife. Like, it can get really messy. We could get really complicated, and we're also not specifying who wrote the post. So I'm not... Suspension of disbelief. Yeah, well, I'm not really worried. Had trouble making through the sludge. Eventually, although she ended up covered in gum and ready for another shower, Kazooie slayed the Gumnut. In all honesty, once she made it through the gum sea, it wasn't that hard since the Gumnut couldn't tell where she was anyways. It's then... Who's gonna read this outside of chat anyway? Nobody. In all honesty, once she made it, okay. It said that they were face to face. It was then. That they were face to face with the baseball pitcher Alex had recognized earlier. Pea Shooter stood tall and strong, shooting toward the group without mercy. Unlike the first two enemies, it was seeming to be legitimately difficult to make it near the Pea Shooter. Its aim was as strong as its shot, but then Alex had an idea. This is past tense. Holding the hairdryer he had picked up in the room, Alex lined himself up and took a swing at the incoming pea pitch. Success! Alex was able to bat down the Pea Shooter, disabling it for long enough time for Shiloh to come and slice it down with a pocket knife. Then they each took a sigh of relief, believing the worst to be over. But, of course, as they made their way down the hallway and approached the elevator, they saw it. The name came to them like a divination. This was Chomper. Chomp, chomp, chomp. The bones flew out of Chomper's mouth. The group could tell that the last Redditor that was here did not make it out. Head too big for its little plant stem, Chomper's big Chomper wiggled this way and that as he approached the group. Gotta go soon, your laptop's running out of energy, you're too cozy to get out of bed to charge it. No worries, Lexi, I hope you had a good time and I hope to see you next time. As he approached the group, he just kept chewing. As terrifying as the sight was, Haley couldn't help but laugh a little. How was it possible to keep such a big old head on such a small neck? Clearly, Chomper couldn't even handle the weight of it. This doesn't mean she wasn't grossed out, though. The bones were not cute. Haley tried to approach quickly, but Chomper quickly snapped at her, causing her to stumble back into Lynette's arms. After helping Haley stand to her feet, Lynette swiped the hairdryer out of Alex's hands and charged at Chomper. Using the hairdryer to jam into Chomper's mouth, and then when he tried to chomp, Lynette was able to stun the creature for long enough to disable it permanently. God, that thing tried to eat us, Haley screamed, her voice dripping with disgust. No one even tried to argue. That was the worst. Little did they know their journey had just begun. That night, Haley left a review on r/caffeine. Absolutely don't visit for more than one night. The hotel was really terrible. We were almost eaten upon checkout. No joke, no clickbait, no just plain terror. And I'm pretty sure they cleaned the rooms with milk. And I think the room manager was a worm. And I think the guy at the front desk had like a lot of knives. That being said, the first night was fine. The room was a little small, but we snuck in for free, so I can't really complain about that. Honestly, kind of recommend. 4 out of 5 stars. Under the post, several comments mentioned the creature, and several explain the infinite milk powers it has. Other comments talk about the knife guy. All comments relating to the two are replied to with a single worm emoji. Haley decided none of it was worth mentioning to the group. She shut off her phone and tried to finish off her night of sleep in the car. I'm going to turn it off. So if this shows in chat, if it shows I'm still in chat, that's why. Gotcha. No one had really made it out quite so simply from Hotel California, but not. The place was designed to be hell. Oh, the design. Blah, 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 blah. The place was designed by hell to be the door between the mortal realm and the underworld, a sort of testing ground for the new torture devices to be used there. Simply put, anyone who listened to the hotel recommendations on r/caffeine would end up in hell anyways, so there was seemingly no harm in using them as test subjects. But when heaven used to turn a blind eye to these things in a way to reduce the amount of fighting between the two realms, now that there were living survivors, no one was sure what the next steps would be. Fio was one of the first to make a case in support of the travelers, stating if they can survive that place, then clearly they are marked the divine. Zelda couldn't help but to agree. She was selected divine because of her noble birth and connection to the goddess of her formative land. She can't deny the strength and prowess one gains from being marked divine as a result of action rather than birth. They are indeed special. One has to imagine they can be as strong as Pei-Ming or Function. Pei-Ming, having heard his name from across the afterlife courtyard, comes over to join their conversation. We're discussing whether the group of travelers deserves protection. Didn't you hear? They survived Hotel California but not and escaped last night. Before Pei-Ming had had the chance to open his mouth and respond to the question, Paul and White No-Face, one of the highest ranking demons in the world, stormed the afterlife court. Paul, shaking a little in his boots, unraveled a long scroll. On it, the word demigod. Father stands tall, true, and bold. Whose fucking baby daddy is this? The damn traveler group he's a part of just broke out of Hotel California, but not. The rage practically dripped from White No Face's voice. Murmurs arose from those of both realms gathered in the square. Finally, no one having immediately stepped forward, Paul calls out meekly, "The father's name is Shiloh and the baby's name is Cersei Baxton." Paiming's eyes widen slightly and he sucks in a breath through his nose, finally widened slightly and he sucked in a breath through his nose, catching the attention of both Fia and Zelda. While neither are surprised, the turn of events will certainly make things more complicated. From there, things only escalated further. Accusations were thrown around, words of vitriol and desperation. Those trying to save face and those trying to tear it down argued in earnest. To the side, Paiming can feel a headache start setting in. Could feel a headache setting in. Well, it typically does not matter if a mortal and a god have relations. Children are supposed to be reported to the head of the afterlife in order to keep tabs and keep protections. However, Cersei Baxton was such an unusual offspring from such unusual circumstances that doing so had slipped Paiming's mind. And now here he was, forced to follow through with the consequences. To make matters worse, Shiloh, whom Paiming had no intention of ever seeing again, had now become a relevant player in the afterlife soap opera. Suddenly, Paiming felt the need to find a better way for Heaven to protect the group no matter what. After all, he doesn't want to have to raise the child. By this point, several weeks had passed since the group escaped the Hotel California, but not. Since then, the group made a pact not to listen to the travel advice of the r/caffeine subreddit ever again. Since then, they had only camped in the van and as a result had made extraordinary progress regarding their worldly travel. They'd seen the Eiffel Tower, the Great Wall of China, Mount Fuji, the Colosseum, the pyramids, the Guadalajara, and several other wonders of the natural and unnatural world. Now they journeyed into the great city of New York to experience the pizza and the atmosphere. None of them had ever been to New York before except for Lynette, who was excited to show the group around. The visit was a first even for Amelia the cat, and so it was a very exciting journey. The group shared a delicious meal at a hot pot restaurant and ate some ice cream. This time they stayed at a real hotel again, but they got the recommendation off of a proper subreddit instead of r/caffeine. Guys, we're only halfway. I'm dying here. The next day brought more sightseeing as the group ventured into Times Square. Lynette took great pleasure in leading the group whilst holding Haley's hand. None of the other group members had said anything, but it was obvious that one, if not both, of the girls had already confessed. Then it would surely happen soon. It was sure to happen soon. Really, things were quite peaceful. Shiloh seemed to be gaining some confidence because he continued to be a little bit of a clown for everybody, and Alex, although a little reserved at first, smiled more now than he did when the group had first met. After visiting Times Square, they grabbed a nice coffee, Haley paid for Lynette's cup and Amelia's milk, and meandered their way to Central Park. They sat on park benches, laughed, and drank coffee in peace until a random pigeon flew over the group and landed on Alex's head and defecated. That, in of itself, would have been strange on its own, but then a second bird came over and did the same thing to Haley. Before long, a swarm of birds came over to the group, shitting on them and pecking at them. It was funny at first, but quickly the group realized that there was something more paranormal going on. For one, they were the only group being targeted, and for two, the birds seemed eerily humanoid. One bird in particular stuck out like a sore thumb to Haley and Alex. A bird with a vengeance against them in particular seemed to dive bomb the group at any possible second. Not only that, but the bird seemed to have a blue tint and would not show its face to the group. In fact, although that particular bird seemed to cause Haley and Alex special distress, all the birds had special personality traits. It was almost like they were not really birds at all. On that point, some of the birds were clumsy, although the one bird seemed to only show its back intentionally. Several other birds were simply not as good at flying unsteady on their wings. They were innately human-like. By the time the group got their wits about them to even start trying to fight back, they were overwhelmed. It was clear that no amount of fighting would truly get them out of the swarm of what must have been thousands of birds. They swung tree branches like swords, waved their hands in the air. Lynette even directed Haley to hide under a park bench, but nothing helped. They were pecked relentlessly, feathers rained down around them, and they were covered head to toe in bird poop. And yet the birds would not give up. It was then a group of teens, about their age, approached. Each one was well prepared, brandishing umbrellas and weed. Even one who looked particularly weak came to the group's aid. Together, with double the forces, the attack on the birds was slowly but surely able to be reduced and eventually eliminated. Lynette continued to protect Haley from under the chair, but was now aided by a stoner kid with more special skills than one could imagine a stoner kid to have. That being said, the kid looked horrified at the prospect of fighting birds. Kazooie was protected on either side by someone who continued to reinforce that they were a police officer, though they surely were not, and another team about the same age who appeared close with the self-proclaimed police officer. Alex worked together with a real stealth starter who would briefly introduce themselves as Atlas. Shiloh and Deacon had met years ago and stayed close friends, so when Deacon saw that Shiloh was in trouble, he had quickly ran to his aid. It was not but an hour until the group had taken care of every last bird. The feeling that the birds were, in fact, humanoid in some capacity could not be shaken off. For Haley and Alex specifically, the one bluish bird reminded them so deeply of... Never mind. Are you alright? My name is Deacon. Shiloh and I are old friends. Shiloh nodded and seemed to shy away a little, as though he were embarrassed or hiding some big secret. My name is Keiju, and this is my boyfriend Shin. We were on a date when we saw... I'm Ziggy. Want some weed? He was the one terrified earlier, and if the group was honest with themselves, he was still shaking from the encounter. Oh yeah, my name's Atlas. I was on my way to my friend's place, but anyways, are you guys alright? You look like a mess. Haley laughed a little as Lynette used a towel to dry off as much bird shit on her as possible. Well, all things considered, that could have gone worse. The travelers go around and introduce themselves. Although Haley was a little cleaner than the rest of them thanks to Lynette's efforts, they really were still a wreck. Atlas, claiming to be on their way to their friend's house for a party, invites everyone to come along. My friend lives at a mansion anyways, so you might as well clean up. Invited everybody. Hey, Lynette, we are doing our running edit, and then we're almost done. We finished writing it, we're doing a running edit, and then I'll stop streaming, I'll put on AO3, and then it's over. Can't stay long because I gotta finish a project, but saying hi. Well, I hope you have a good project, and I hope it goes well. Pete, Emizel, and Vault Dweller hung their heads in the presence of White No Face. I told you three, he started, to destroy them, and all you could think of was to turn into birds, and not even a scary bird. You chose fucking pigeons? Emizel combated. Well, maybe if you'd given us clear instructions. Enough! Get out of my sight! The three charged down the hallway. I told you we should have just let off a nuke, Pete exclaimed. I never said no, Vault Dweller combated. Once cleaned up, the group, including all four of the members, joined the party happening in the main rooms of the mansion. For all the group discussion about weed on the walk over, there was none to be found in the party. In fact, the party was actually a dare party. There were no drugs, only good vibes and Mario Kart. The group danced for a while, separately enjoying their time. Out of the corner of their eye, some of the group members caught Haley and Lynette kissing briefly on the dance floor, smiling and enjoying each other's companies as the slow song switched on. Shin and Keiji also took some time to enjoy each other's company. The evening, whilst wrought with chaos and fear, was finally able to be enjoyed. After some time, the travelers moved themselves to a quieter room. Sipping on lemonade and dreams, they started to talk about their new friends, telling stories. That's how we escaped Hotel California, but not, Kazooie bravely stated. Impressive! I never knew Shiloh had that kind of initiative. Shiloh blushed slightly, turning his head away so that his friend couldn't see. There was another kind of initiative in his life named Cersei Baxon that had been lingering near the front of his thoughts more and more lately. Why did you all make the choice to come here and go out of the world for so long? To expand my harem, Lynette answered, holding Haley's hand a little tighter. I had intended to expand internationally, but... Welcome back, Lexi. I want an adventure, Kazooie answered, proud of herself. I fucked that up again. Herself in a strange way. The other three were silent. Haley and Alex exchanged a glance, and Haley let out a sigh. There's something we have to confess, Alex said slowly. Oh. Haley added, looking at Lynette, to all of you. Alex started, we killed someone. That's why we're here. 3 months prior to the trip, Haley and Alex were spending some time together as one does. Alex was playing some grid ball and Haley was taking pictures with her Polaroid. Action shots were still a work in progress for her after all. The grid ball practice zone was empty save for the two of them, so it really was a slow going for Alex, who was playing alone. After some warm-ups, Haley had to fiddle with the Polaroid camera for a while and was turned away. You know the JoJo Siwa rebrand? No, I don't, because I don't know anything about... Oh, wait, yes, maybe I do. She's just goth now, right? I think I saw that. She's just goth now. Where was I? It was in this moment... What's wrong with that? It was in this moment that Alex, foolishly assuming the area around them would still be clear despite the time passing, between his warm-up and practice. That Alex, foolishly assuming the area would still be clear despite the time passing between him and his warm-up and practice, resumed his playing. I don't really know a lot about JoJo Siwa, sorry. I don't really call myself like a JoJo Siwa, like, fan. I think she's just goth now, right? That's what I think I saw. And so he stupidly hurled the grid ball as fast and as hard as possible toward a target. Unfortunately, the ball never hit its target, instead hitting an innocent passerby in the head. The loud thwack of the ball hitting the man's head alerted Haley at first, but the much louder thud of the man's head hitting the ground... Ooh, I really had a rough time. Head hitting the ground before the rest of the body sent her and Alex flying towards him. I don't really want to know anything about JoJo Siwa, but thanks for the concern. It became clear when they reached the man that he was might still be breathing, but certainly not in any meaningful way. The ball must have come in contact with his neck as well due to the oblong shape of the thing, because he was wheezing and blood was spattering from his mouth and nose each time he attempted to breathe. What do we do? Alex gasped. They thought that perhaps they might try to save him, but he did look so far dead that it really wouldn't matter. We collect evidence, then bury him. Haley said coolly. Evidence? Sure, why not? And with that, Haley began taking Polaroid pictures of a barely breathing man. Alex used the grid ball to stimulate the movement of the ball when it hit, and they took photos of that as well. Somewhere along the line, the two must have assumed the man fully passed because they stopped taking photos and dug a deep hole near the grid ball court. They placed the man inside, covered it up, and left. Atlas was one of the first to move after the pair finished telling their story. Well, that sounds really difficult for you two, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. Then Alex reached over and hugged the two of them, consoling them both. When they pulled away, other members of the party happening around them seemed to be drawn in on the account of the nature of the story. A picture of her from her Karma rebrand music video on the halls with the caption on it, "To get kids to return to books." That's wild. Surprisingly, although the two murderers were objectively in the wrong and did not even attempt to help the man, everyone around them seemed to be so drawn in by their enigmatic characters that it didn't seem to matter. Karma will get you if you don't return your books. That's crazy. That's wild. That it didn't seem to matter. Even the little fishy... We can do fish IE. No, I hate that more, actually. Even the little fishy in the tank with the name tag Gobi was jumping for joy for the two of them. The commotion caused the landlord, a very interesting and somewhat money-hungry and potentially delusional Mr. House, to come over. He was always talking about how he runs Las Vegas and lives in a computer. So the homeowners didn't really pay him much mind. Trailing behind him was a cat, but it wasn't Amelia. Instead, this cat seemed to exude the name Fishstick. Shiloh wasn't sure which of the two was more unsettling. The man who probably had fish sticks for brains, or Fishstick who seemed to be more human than the one it walked next to. Mr. House, after confirming no one was being murdered right now, left the party, which resumed much like it had before. Shin and Keiji came over to Alex and began engaging in conversation, leaving Haley alone. Lynette, noticing the shift, stood up, made eye contact with Haley, and left for a quieter room in the house. Haley followed unquestioningly. When the two of them made it to into the other room, they were finally alone with each other and their thoughts. Haley took a step towards Lynette, who backed into it. How far in editing are you? 15 of 21. Where am I? Haley followed unquestioningly. When the two made it in the other room, they were finally alone with each other and their thoughts. Haley took a step toward Lynette, who backed up a step in response. You can hate me. I understand. What I did was... Lynette took no time before countering. I don't hate you. I don't. I wasn't honest with you. No, Lynette sighed. You weren't. I'm sorry. Lynette doesn't even let her finish the thought before taking Haley by the back of her head and kissing her fiercely but guiding her... taking Haley by the back of her head and gently but fiercely guiding her into a kiss. That's a better sentence. Whoa. Now it's 16 out of 21. After a moment, the two separated, and Lynette answered by simply saying, I forgive you. In the other room, with Lynette occupied, Fishstick and Amelia and Fishstick hissed at each other. That night, with the group ready to depart from this leg of the journey, some members were finding it especially hard to let go. In particular, Atlas, Shin, KG, Deacon, and Ziggy were not ready to say goodbye to their newly made friends, and so they just didn't. And that's how the group of 5 human travelers and 1 cat became a group of 10 human travelers and 1 cat. It was that night in the car, emboldened by the group and their newfound honesty, and by the willingness of the other new faces to support the longtime travelers, Shiloh finally found it in him to speak up. Your previous crisis has been averted. You went to the store to buy both parchment paper and tinfoil. Amazing, Kate. Welcome back. In him to speak up. That night in the car, the air was cool and the road was dark. Shiloh told the group about how he was somewhat consensually coerced by a god into having sexual relations, and about the resulting demigod that he had left behind, that Shiloh had also left behind. Atlas dried his tears, and Ziggy had lit a blunt for Shiloh. For the first time in a long time, Shiloh had felt so loved and so supported. All he could do was laugh and cry and laugh some more. Shabiri was practically fuming. Emizel, Pete, and Mad Dummy stood around her and tried to console her and calm her down, though it was basically to no avail. How dare these monsters be treated so well? Have humans no shame? She screeched. They are truly scum, Pete tried. We should hurt them for all they've done. They act like they're perfect candidates for a beautifully awful underworld, and then other humans just accept them? Mad Dummy flopped around a little, and Shabiri nodded her head. Exactly! Those fools! The commotion drew over a now concerned Papyrus. Wanting to do something to become famous, he picked a bit of a fight with Shabiri, taunting her in little ways. You can't say such things. Humans simply don't know any better. Well, they could. It's the whole reason heaven and hell exist, White No-Face scoffed from behind the group. We simply have no choice but to punish them. It is not but a second after White No-Face had said those words when he jumped from the afterlife, arriving at the mortal realm. No one knew what was happening, but everybody knew there was no choice but to follow him. First it was Shabiri, Pete, Vault Dweller. Then soon they were followed by Zelda, Paiming, Fia, Melina, Rosalina, and Papyrus. Those that stayed in the afterlife did so out of sheer necessity to keep the afterlife running. This is the end game, guys. We're 4 pages away and then we're done. No one really knew what the country they were in anymore, but the group of 10 plus 1 was stopped at a coffee. Rewind. No one really knew what country they were in anymore, but the group of 10 plus 1 was stopped at the side of the road rest stop enjoying vending machine sandwiches and terrible coffee. It was day now, and the now larger group had been traveling for around a month since they had grown in size. Everything was well and fine. Smiles and laughs were traded like karma on Reddit. That is, until that cat, Fishstick, walked up to the travelers out of nowhere and surreptitiously jumped on Shin's face, scratching his eyes and cheeks. In fact, it was so out of pocket that it had taken a few seconds before anyone knew what to do. It was only when Shin let out a shriek that KG had moved like lightning to try and peel the cat off his lover's face. The commotion set everyone ablaze. The commotion set everyone ablaze, causing them to jump to their feet, scrambling as they spun around and realized that the previously empty rest stop was now populated with beings. and they really were just beings, not human-like at all. There was something otherly about them, a presence that none of the mortals knew how to describe. For a moment, everything was just still. None of the things around the group moved or even breathed. It was as though the group of humans and Amelia were in an echo chamber, their movements put under a microscope. Then, every one of the beings around them took in one simultaneous breath, and all chaos broke loose. Making charms, didn't have any parchment paper, wax paper's flammable. Yep, we are an endgame. Woo! Alright. All chaos broke loose, with most of the beings being really simply... I need to breathe. While most of the beings really simply started attacking each other, one in particular seemed to be focused on Haley more than anything else. Haley was cornered by Vault Dweller, and that was the man she and Alex had killed. It was him. Why was he here? Why was he... Haley needed a distraction. Without thinking, she pulled out her phone and turned on the flashlight, waving it across his face as a means to distract him, to get more time. The way he moved, though, the way he seemed to crumble tells her that she had just permanently blinded him, as though it wasn't enough to just have murdered him. Zelda, the name seemed to populate into Haley's head on its own, rushed over, breaking free from those who appeared to be her friends, to catch Vault Dweller before he hit the ground. Now I'm losing internet connection. See you, Bren. See you, Lexi. Good luck with your internet. Vault Dweller can't see. A single phone flashlight. That's all it took, and now he can't see. And he can't hear anything either. Weren't there people around him? Where did they all go? Where did he... Safe arms. That's all he felt. Safe arms holding him up. Zelda. With that, he knew he was safe. Vault Dweller knew, without a shadow of doubt, that he would never be seen again, demon or not. But as those arms carried him to safety, he knew that everything would be all right. After all, the only thing that an angel and a demon couldn't face together are their peers. And now he can't even see them. Hey, boats! You always pop in when we're close to the end. We have like 3 more pages? No, we have like 2 more pages to edit. 3-ish. You are a busy lad. Vault Dweller and Zelda, having both been expended, left the rest stop without much fanfare. The two were an unlikely match, but no one could really say anything to stop them in the end. But just because the 2 members of the afterlife had been eliminated didn't mean that the fight was over. No, instead the underworld made it their job to try and torture the mortals, whilst Heaven's guardians made it their job to stop them. That humans were seemingly caught in a crossroad. They had by no means by which to fight the underworld, and none to support the angels. This left them alone to merely defend themselves from those around them. Lynette was the first to step forward, taking a very dazed and embarrassed Haley away from the Vault Dweller and Zelda. Lynette made it her mission to protect Haley, who seemed a little flustered by the prospect. Behind them, Shabiria and Melina duked it out. The two had never really gotten along. Their divided stance on the issue at present did not do well to help them recognize their differences. Rather, Shabiria attempted to hit Melina on multiple occasions with different objects, which Melina swiftly avoided and deflected back, hitting her mark. Around them, 3 other members of the Afterlife Division supported either side, hurting the other in an attempt to succeed. Yeah. In the chaos, Pei Ming, Feng Xin, and White No-Face were engaged in a fight when one of the demons raked its long, vile nails across Shiloh's face. Immediately, Pei Ming ran over, swiping the demon away, picking Shiloh up. "Where's Cersei Baxton?" Pei Ming asked in a rush. Shiloh slapped him, saying, "Wouldn't you like to know?" To their left, Rosalina and Papyrus were using some sort of angel magic to try and fight Pete. He was making this rather difficult, though, because he was using Ziggy as a sort of shield and seemed to be mind-controlling Atlas in order to turn the area into a wasteland. Fia and Paul, the 2 members of the Afterlife who took on special administrative work, were also going at each other, though not, whoa. I forgot, is Zelda an angel? Not canonically, but in this world, yes. Anything's possible in this world. Who took on a special administrative administrative work were also going at each other, though not through the use of hands or magic, but through spreadsheets. A few onlookers were spectating that match rather respectfully, all things considered. Things only seemed to escalate further when more supporting members of either side entered the arena. At one point, Kazooie was cornered in by the vending machines and was fighting for his life until Rosalina shifted, caught sight of him, and came to help. Even Alex, as athletic as he was, struggled to escape the detrimental nature of the demons. What's worse is that he had to wait for Haley to come help because none of the Heaven's Guards, Deacon, to come help because none of the Heaven's Guards thought he was worth helping, having killed before. And Haley, both of them, to come. We just need to throw Deacon in there. He exists. Swiftly, the separate, distinguishable battles that seemed to spring up around the rest started to meld together. Lynette, having followed Haley over when she went to help Alex, was struck deep and hard. She'd only been trying to help Haley, but ultimately ended up slammed against the wall. Her body slid down the wall almost comically. The whole room stopped. While the intention was to punish the mortals for their crimes, the intention was not to kill any of them. Haley ran to Lynette, and Atlas immediately began taking Lynette's pulse. Even without taking it, though, the truth was painfully obvious. No one lives through that much blood loss. So when Atlas shook their head, the beings had removed themselves from the situation as soon as the things turned sour. There was simply nothing to be done. The room was so still, a pin dropping would have equated to the world shattering, and so it was only fitting that it was then that Ziggy would say, "We might consider trying a resurrection then." These stupid mortals, we should have finished them off when we had the chance. We should go back, and they're so foolish, and now they want to try and reconfigure the natural order of the world? Ridiculous. Well, they might not have needed it if we hadn't stepped in. Well, now that's just about the dumbest thing I've heard. Everybody's gonna die eventually. Needless to say, the Guardians of the Afterlife would be no help to the Travelers. Needless to say, the Travelers did not have a lot of confidence in their methods. And so, in order to help aid this issue, each of the remaining 9 survivors found a different, Amelia excluded for not having opposable thumbs, found a different method by which to resurrect a person. All these methods were, of course, sourced from the subreddit r/caffeine. They tried embalming the body with coffee, and then again with Panera charged lemonade for good measure, performing a satanic ritual complete with candles, screaming bloody murder in the mirror, and even using a Ouija board. Haley even tried purifying crystals with her tears. Unfortunately, despite taking days to try and save Lynette's life and her now decomposing body, she stubbornly remained dead. "So this is the afterlife?" Lynette asked, her tone almost tranquil. Several beings nodded around her. She let out a sigh, though none could tell if it was positive or negative. It was simply lonely. "I understand. I suppose why you all felt the need to meddle. This for eternity? Ugh." "Yeah, Lynette is dead." And then we're almost at the end. We're so close. Mettaton speaks into his podcast mic. He's alone in the room with only his recording software and Reddit open on his computer. He thinks that's exactly how it should be. This way, he's the star of the podcast. Alright, so that was today's Am I the Asshole post, sourced from Twitter, and man, I gotta say, this is definitely an everyone sucks here type of post. I mean, who would willingly go through all of that and make their friends go through it? I mean, it's one thing to murder someone, and even to have a demigod baby from a homosexual one-night stand, but it is totally another thing to let that girl die at the hands of the supernatural. Too absurd, simply too absurd. Mettaton lets out a sigh. Of course, one has to wonder how truthful a story like this is. After all, hotels that eat people certainly aren't real. Mettaton scrolls a little and notices something. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, it seems there was an update to this post. After taking a few weeks to complete our travels, we, having finally let go and buried Lynette, have settled together in a small apartment in Canada. Now we all attend group therapy together every day. Really, basically, we live in a psych ward. No one believes our story. They won't let us out. We're not psychotic. If someone believes me, please call 911 for us. They stopped answering my calls. Well, there you are. That was our Am I the Asshole post for this week, titled, I accidentally got involved with the afterlife during a road trip. Am I the asshole? If you feel strongly about this post, feel free to leave a comment on this podcast. As always, thanks for listening. My name's Mettaton, and I'll be here again tomorrow. That's it. That's all she wrote. Literally, that's all she wrote, and I'm not writing more. Woohoo! I also think so, Kate, which is why I'm not changing it, because I do think it's funny to not change it and just have it be like the worst. Oh, I wanted to go this way. I think it's funny to have it be the wrong number, and so I'm not going to make it the right number. That's my hot take, is that I think it's funny if it's not the right number. Well, I'll get that uploaded, maybe not tonight, maybe tonight. We'll see. I'll get it uploaded in the next few days for sure, and give you guys the AO3 link, but there you go. I like the ending. I also like the ending. Any questions, comments, or concerns? This is the end of the road here, chat. This is the end of the road. Metaton is so silly. Well, there you go. There you go. Alrighty. Alrighty. That ran a little longer than I expected it to run, but that's okay. All's well that ends well. Alright, chat. I will get that to you shortly. I'm going to announce on the Discord also in the next few days, but I'm going to tell you here now. The last stream for... Excuse me. The last stream for a while is going to be on May 31st. It'll probably start at like 7... Okay. Last stream for a little while is going to be probably May 31st, probably starting about 7 p.m. That's the probably. It could be different, but it will be a fan content Friday, and it will be short, so you're gonna have to jump in if you want to be there. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I fixed the D's. And then that'll be the last stream for a little while. I'm gonna be out of the country. I'm gonna be living my best life. That's the tea. Any questions, direct them to HR. If you like the stream, feel free to like it. If you didn't like the stream, feel free to dislike it. If you really like the stream, feel free to subscribe. If you have something funny to say, feel free to leave a comment on the VOD after it's posted. Alright, chat. I'll see you in a little while. Like a little longer than a week, probably. And then a lot longer than a week. Alright, bye-bye!